I'm Parish President Clint Quintmall. Ascension Parish is slowly emerging from the long COVID-19 pandemic quarantine, and we are focused on reopening our economy. As we reopen, it is important to remember that small businesses are the backbone of our economy. When we shop locally, and especially when we shop at a locally owned business, we not only improve our economy, we also help our friends and neighbors. Every month, we will be showcasing a different locally owned business to let everyone know what a wealth and diversity of businesses exist right here in our own backyard. We have partnered with Ascension Economic Development President Kate MacArthur and our council members to show you some of the businesses in Ascension. These segments will show you how they got started, what products and services they provide, and how Ascension Economic Development Corporation can help small businesses get started or expand. So please, enjoy this edition of our Small Business Spotlight and join us every month to see how you can support small businesses. Thank you, and remember, shop local and God bless.
We're here celebrating the 1-year anniversary of Gilla Brewing Company. We're getting a little bit of information about how Gilla Brewing started in Ascension Parish and your background and why you chose to come to Gonzales and start this company.
So kind of how Gilla started is obviously beer. I knew Alex through beer friends, beer events, beer shares. I was doing craft beer at Tiger Tavern down the road. I actually met Brad, our other partner that can't be here. He would come in, drink beer, told me he was a home brewer, started bringing some home brew in, got to tasting it. I was like, man, some really good stuff. Maybe we need to get together and brew. This is our brew house. This is where obviously we make the beer. Kind of if you're looking at our system, it's devised of 3 different separate tanks. Temp control on beer is very, very important. 1 degree on the difference of a certain beer that you're making could change anything from the body of the beer to the taste to the mouthfeel. We have what's called a mash tun. So from then we go from mashing, what we do is we do what's called a sparge. In a sparge, we take another higher degree temperature of water, pretty much around like 170. And what we do is we rinse the top of the bed of the grains and we start pulling all the sugar water at that point we've extracted from the grain into the boil kettle. Typically, most beers are about a 60-minute boil. Some of our sours we don't boil them at all. Some stouts, we boil up to 5 to 6 hours. Once it finishes boiling, we go through this contraption right here, which is called a heat exchanger. Basically, cold water in, hot beer goes through, and then we get cold beer out, hot water comes out. From there, we actually go into these fermenters right here. Every fermenter is temperature controlled. So this one may be at 68 degrees. This one that you see sweating is actually sitting at about 34 degrees. What we do is once the yeast is in the beer and it eats the sugar, creates the alcohol content, which the little bubbles, that's carbon dioxide coming off from the beer. Once the beer's finished and we know that it's completely done, if it's a hoppy beer that we put a lot of hops in, we do what's called a cold crash, and basically it drops all the sediment down to the bottom of the cone, and from there we pull all the sediment off, clear up the beer, and then it'll be ready for packaging.
Y'all just tell us a little bit about the branding, being the first brewery here in Ascension Parish and just what all went into it.
It's just an Ascension Parish name, and when we were talking about the design, hops are a main component in beer. Pretty much every beer that we make has hops in it. And when I started talking to Dustin, I gave him the background of Alex's dad based on the cartoon, so we really stuck with the gorilla theme. I thought it was simple. It spoke beer with the hop. It had the aggressive gorilla face in it, and I really thought it just spoke to the name. So when I sent it to Brad and Alex, without hesitation, same thing. They were like, yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, so Gilla was actually a nickname of my father, Kevin Schillings, and he got that nickname back in high school. He was just always the real big guy, the big athlete, and they kind of gave him the likeness of Magilla Gorilla, and it eventually got shortened to Gilla, and it was just a nickname that stuck with him ever since, and it's just a really cool, unique nickname, and it just kind of really portrays what we're going for here, just, something big and aggressive and just, local also, very local. We wanted something that people would recognize, and ever since we opened, so many people have come in just like, oh yeah, I knew Gilla. We went to school together. We played ball together. So it was really special for us to be able to name it Gilla. And we put on the wall his sign off. I'm sure a lot of you, if you do know Gilla, you know that he did local sports, and he always ended everything with, thank you for your time this time, until next time.
So being local is a big deal for all of you, and especially based on your association with Mr. Gilla as the theme of your name here at the brewery. So can you tell us some more about how important it is to be local and being here in Ascension Parish?
I pretty much grew up here all my life. Alex has been here all his life. Brad actually grew up on the West Bank, but he lives in Baton Rouge for work. So we told him, it'd be nice to have it local. I knew how much craft beer was really an influx in the parish just by working at Tiger Tavern and seeing the amount of the community in here that dealt with craft beer. I knew that this would work. Nobody can ever take away that you were the first here. We're the first brewery in Ascension Parish, so no matter what, we will always be the first. And from there, we kind of developed into the Lush branding, which a guy I went to school with, his wife was looking to do some portfolio work. It's gonna be bright, colorful, vibrant. It needs to pop, it needs to stick out because there's so many different fruits, and the colors of the beers are just we make, on the Lush series, it could be deep purple, it could be red, it could be pink, it could be blue. We make a bomb pot beer for July 4th that looks like a blue Jolly Rancher melted in a glass. It's really just a pretty beer. It's just pretty in the glass. A lot of people want to try it just because of the color. So we think she knocked Lush out of the park. So I think just in general, we have some good artists that we work with. All local people too. People that live around here or that we graduated with. The guy that designs our can labels, I met him through beer. Once COVID hit, obviously we weren't doing any drinking on site, so we did go to a packaging option. We would come in each week, and every beer that was ready, we would package it all, and we would offer it in a 16-ounce growler, and we pretty much sold out of everything. We were still bridging the gap of what needed to keep the employees employed here, make sure they were getting a paycheck, make sure we were paying the bills. COVID was definitely a test to opening a business for the first time. I think just in a whole, an agreement between the three owners, we just made really smart decisions, and that's one reason why we're still open.
So how do you reach your new normal customer base? What is your marketing strategy, and do you think maybe the pandemic had any influence on the amount of beer that was being consumed locally, or if that will continue into 2021?
We use Facebook, Instagram, we have a website, we use another app called Untapped, which is where people can rate our beers. They come in, they drink it, they can take a picture of it, post what they thought about the beer, they rate it. It kind of is like a beer diary in a way. With breweries, especially just the trend of breweries is if you make good quality product, you could be in the middle of nowhere. Once the name gets out and people know that you're making quality product, they're gonna drive to come see you. People, same thing, eat with their eyes, drink with their eyes.
So can you tell us a little bit more about what makes Gilla unique and the different types of beer that you come up with that are unique to Gilla?
Sky's kind of the limit. Would like to say that we're somewhat kind of mad scientists sometimes doing beer, because we do a lot of traditional beers, but then we also do a lot of crazy off-the-wall beers, which in turn keep the customer base always wanting to come back, because there's always something new and unique on that, somebody said, oh, well, I've never tried a beer like that. And then once they try it, they associate Gilla with, oh, well, that's that place I had that unique Starburst beer, and next time they see we're doing a candy shop beer, which is the candy-based sour, they typically are more likely to come back in and try the next batch just because the first batch left a pretty good impression on them. We have a lot of return customers. We have a good clientele that are loyal to us, that come here every week, buy to-go beer every week, so we pride ourselves on, one, not only being a brewery and having a bar where you can come drink, but a lot of it, like I tell the bartenders and things, is we're providing an education to the customer. People come here, and a lot of people in this parish never been to a craft brewery, so when they come in, the first question we get a lot is, well, what's the closest thing you have to Bud Light? Or, I don't drink a lot of beer, so what do you have? And at that point, that is our job to educate the customer and let them try different samples and try to find that beer that's in their wheelhouse. And then once you're more personal experience with that person, they're more likely to come here because, hey, last time I went to Gilla, they really got me on a beer that I enjoyed, and they spent the time helping me, and so they're more inclined to come back here because it's a more personal experience for them.